Welcome to your Week 9 Fantasy Football Recap. I'm your host, Krim Barflow. Things are beginning to heat up, and just in time for next week's upcoming trade deadline. Will we see any Hail Mary trades, or will those with dwindling playoff hopes fade into obscurity? Speaking of fading, your defending champions, Houday and the Blowfish, continue to slide down the rankings. Chuck looked outclassed from the start against Aaron Svugups. Not even Caleb Williams' 38-point outburst was enough to make this matchup semi-competitive. And yes, Chris started 2 tight ends. It was a 145-106 trouncing, marking losses in 4 of the last 5 weeks for Chuck. For our next game, it was I Dream of Rain, Ayumanor, taking on Now Here's a Guy. After many prayers and sacrificial offerings, Christian McCaffrey continues to remain healthy and dominant for Alex. His 32-point performance was more than enough to lead Alex to victory over Grant by a final tally of 138-113. After starting with 2 straight losses, Alex has started to catch fire, winning 6 out of his last 7 faceoffs and catapulting himself into 3rd place. Our next bout saw the Schmucks take on Mutant Injigba Turtles. Despite losing CJ Stroud to a concussion early in his game, and a dud from Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian was able to hold off John, winning by a final of 103-119. And now, the return of Bill Belichick for our Game of the Week.
Thanks, Grim. The Game of the Week came from 2 teams desperate for a win. The critical hits against Run A Chain on her. It was a very close match with only 10 points separating the 2 teams. Derek can thank Drake London this week as he was the X factor in the game, finishing with 36 points and leading Derek past Logan by a final of 145-135. What's that sound? Let's check in with Pax Interference to find out.
Thanks, Bill. The upset alarm has sounded again. Our remaining matchup pits Too Legit to Quit against the league's Draft Chaffs, Osama bin Baman. This turned out to be one of the most exciting games of the week. Despite starting players on bye for Charlie Burgers, that somehow wasn't the worst start of this matchup. Alvin Kamara gave Mike negative 0.05 points this week. This nail-biter was a photo finish, with Charlie Burgers securing the upset victory by a final score of 104-105. Back to you, Krim.
Thanks, Pax. And now, let's look forward to next week's matchups. Which of these 10-8s will hate their fates when Grant and Logan face off? Which of these sub-500s has their days numbered when Chuck and Mike meet? Can this year's surprise Chris avoid remiss when he duels John? Can Derek avoid the same fate as Mike when Charlie Burgers begins to strike? And which of these league juggernauts ought to be taught some fantasy food for thought when Alex and Brian collide? Find out next week, and as always, best of luck, competitors.